Hello, I'm Paul. This is Jeremy. We're here to talk about Hustlers. If you don't know, this movie doesn't give a lot of synopsis anywhere I was looking. I had no idea what it was, so I'm gonna try and keep it brief like they've been, because maybe if you know too much, that's not so great. But the thing on the paper says a bunch of New York strippers turn the tables on their wealthy Wall Street clients. It's got Jennifer Lopez. Let's just read out all the names I can remember. Constance Wu, Cardi B, Julia Stiles,
Yep.
and there's a cameo from Lizzo. I'm gonna call it a cameo. Like she's on the poster,
small bit
but
part
yeah,
maybe,
very
but
tiny.
yeah.
And goes away about halfway.
Yeah.
You saw the trailer last week.
Yes.
What did you think you were gonna get when you saw that trailer?
Not what we got.
No.
To be honest with you, no.
I did not think so either.
No.
I mean.
So then let's take it from there. You didn't think so in a more positive or in a more negative way?
I was not impressed with that trailer. That trailer did not make me want to see this movie. That trailer didn't make me think this movie was going to be anything special.
I think for probably one of the first times since we've started doing this, you and I actually agree on something.
Yeah, I think we might. I don't know. I might be a little more. I think I'm going to take it up a notch over you. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh, you mean just on not being impressed by the trailer?
Not being impressed by the trailer.
Kind of a joke.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean.
Yeah. I went into this expecting very, very little.
Have you heard anything in the last couple days?
Nothing.
Nothing? No. The headlines have been coming out.
No, and honestly, I haven't looked because I wasn't 100% sure if we were going to see this movie.
Uh-huh.
So honestly, I just really didn't do any research or look at it.
I think 2 days ago I started to see the headlines where people were like, "This is a good movie."
Okay.
It apparently went to rave reviews at the Toronto International Film Festival. It's put out by a company called STX Entertainment. They're sounding pretty pleased with themselves as far as their response so far. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are talking about Jennifer Lopez being an Oscar contender.
All right. So now, do you agree with the reviews?
That's the best movie I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of something. I mean, superhero movies don't count. Like no franchise movie counts. Like I don't know if I've watched that many movies that were franchise movies this year, but I can't. Nothing's coming to mind as far as something I've seen this year that I like that much. I even throughout was like, okay, I always come up with the stupidest qualifiers, like the stupidest things. When was the last time I was this surprised by a movie that came out in September? Like that's
true. Okay.
And I have one.
What about
the Town with Ben Affleck? Did you like that movie?
I loved that movie. I loved
right?
that movie.
I would put this equally as good for sure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Maybe even better because I feel like this is a slightly important movie. Like I was at a convention a bunch of years ago. It's probably like 10, 11 years ago now. And this actress there was like talking to somebody, and like I overheard their conversation, and this lady was in The Road Warrior. She was a Bond girl, bunch of TV credits, but even at this point back then, not working so much anymore. And the person was like, why not? And she basically said, like, which is the truth, is there aren't very many good parts for women over the age of 30. I mean, you can even look at Carrie Fisher. There might have been some problems beyond her age, but the last time I can remember seeing Carrie Fisher before like the new Star Wars is The Burbs with Tom Hanks, like 1986. She was about 30 years old.
No,
that movie was later that. But whenever that movie came out, she was about 30 years old.
Okay.
That's the last time I could remember seeing her.
So
she just played the wife already.
So you really like this movie?
Oh man, 9 or 10, maybe even, I might even give it a 10.
Wow.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Everybody in it was fantastic. It was classy. You wouldn't think from that trailer that it would be as classy as it was. It was totally classy.
Yeah. I agree. I think the trailer does the movie zero justice. And I hate to say that because I liked the movie so much. I don't know if I would go as high as a 10, but I think you and I are at least on the same page that was actually a really, really good movie.
Yeah.
I think I confidently, pretty much every performance in there I think that they did a good job.
Yeah.
It was Jennifer Lopez blew me away.
That last bit at the end, for
Oh,
sure. Like I was still
yeah.
wondering, like why's the Oscar talk? Where's the big
Yeah.
where's the big moment? And
Yeah, Jennifer Lopez
now it
did a
came.
fantastic job, but so did Constance Wu.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought that she was phenomenal in it as well. So,
Yeah, not a bad performance to be found at all.
no, not at all. Now, this was based on, inspired by a true story. Do you know anything about the true story?
I was gonna read that article today. I didn't. It's
Yeah.
on the internet. It's all over the internet. It's called "The Hustlers at Scores."
Yeah, I saw that at the end, and
you can find it.
I
and
started
read
to
for
look
free.
it up before we were doing this to try and get background about the actual story itself, and I didn't have time to read everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly long one, I would guess.
But you know, I would be interested in learning more about the story to see kind of, you know, what liberties they took and how close it stayed to that story. I like those movies that, you know, when they're inspired by a true story, they kind of like stick to it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's nice. It might come down a tad if things are dramatically different than.
But that's where it could bring me up more for this movie, that if it sticks more to the actual story that happened in real life, and for as well as they did this movie, I think I would appreciate it, you know, so much better. Not that I don't appreciate it now, because it's a great movie. I think it would elevate it, you know, to that next level for me as well.
Can you think of anything recently that you've liked as much?
Off the top of my head, no.
No.
No, to be quite honest with you, I like you said, outside of like a superhero movie or something like that, you know, kind of one of these like low key fly under the radar movies. No, I can't think of something that I've liked that I enjoyed that well.
It's really refreshing to have a movie that I enjoyed a lot. It's going to be good to tell people that I liked it.
And not just one that you enjoyed a lot, but it's refreshing because you kind of touched on this earlier, that it's more of an original type of movie. It's not a remake. It's not a reboot. It's not a superhero. It's not something that's, I feel, has been churned out.
I was thinking throughout, there's not. Has there ever been anything like it? Like a female crime movie, like with the girls as bad guys. I mean, there was that kitchen movie last month. I didn't see it, but I mean that kind of came and went from the public eye.
I'm sure that there has been. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of any now, and I'll get back to you on that. But I think that's to the point of this, is that this one is probably going to stick in our minds for a while because it was so good. Any of the ones that I have to believe that there's something out there isn't sticking there because I didn't enjoy it as much.
There's lots of technical stuff I liked in this movie too. I mean, there's a lot of really good shots. Like I don't want to give too much away, but like when she turns off that tape recorder.
Yes.
Do you remember that bit I'm talking
about?
Yeah, that's a great part.
Yeah, that was really, I thought that was really cool, actually.
I'm pretty sure that it was definitely made to sound like a recording a little bit after that, when that one girl was at the hotel room. And
Yeah,
they came to see her.
I was going to bring that up too, but I didn't know how to phrase it without giving anything away.
Yeah.
So that's the last thing we want to do here.
Yeah. Anything else stick out for you? There were a lot of really long shots.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of really long ones. Those can be fake these days. Like they cut those things together kind of crazy ways, but.
Yeah, I nothing technically proficient visually it was a good movie. Like I said, I think the performances, it was a great movie.
How do you think it's going to do?
I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. Because I liked it, I hope that it does well. And I think that it'll do good. I'm afraid that it won't do as good as it should.
Probably not. No, nothing like that ever does.
But why is that? Is that lack of advertising, or is that going back to the trailer that we talked about?
On this one, it's definitely a failure to properly advertise this movie. Like I didn't even know what they were doing at all from any of that advertisements. Like I couldn't tell you one thing about any of their plots or any of their practices.
I mean,
other than
you
they
kind of
dance
put
at the
together
club.
they were strippers that got over on a couple guys.
Yeah, but how?
No,
I had no
exactly,
idea.
exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you kind of got a broad brushstroke.
Yeah, I was
But
not impressed with that trailer at all.
it's
Like,
certainly not enough,
it,
I think, to bring you into the theater to see
it
it.
totally looks like junk from that trailer. I had a guy off the street, like this was I guess yesterday, maybe the day before. As soon as those articles started coming out, he had already heard the J-Lo Oscar talk, and he was shaking his head unbelievably, and I was still right there with him. I was
Yeah.
like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
There's no way. This is a repeat of some other movie that everybody said was good and wasn't.
Based on the trailer, it's very easy to be a hater of this movie. But
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of you can't judge a book by its cover.
I was checking out the reviews on IMDb, and I saw a lot of bad ones. Those have to be fake. Like, those have to be fake. Those are just people going on there and putting on bad reviews. They do that.
See, now I'm torn because when I come into some of these movies that I don't know about, I choose not to read anything like that because I don't want to come in biased.
Yeah, I like to avoid it too, which, you know what?
But at the same time, I feel that maybe I should because maybe that'd give me something to talk about, oh, I read this review and he said that this was garbage, but this was so much better. I don't know what to do here.
No, it makes it harder. I should say that, like, I still had my doubts going in about whether or not this movie would be any good, but the fact that all I've heard is how good it should be, like, anytime I've gone at something like that, it always fails to live up, and it did not fail to live up to that at all.
No, not tonight.
Impressed. So come see it.
Yeah. This is absolute recommendation. You guys have to come see this one.
It doesn't come any higher.
Yeah.
If you see one movie this month, it's definitely this is the one.
So if you watched our Ready or Not review, I think that was one that surprised us as well.
Yeah, that was a a good
this one surprised us so much more.
This one is so much better.
Absolutely, I agree.
So thanks for checking in. If you're watching, please click the subscribe button. If we get to 100, we get a custom URL. That would be really helpful. Thanks. Next time.
Let us know how you liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to telling people. So many people come in. Like, I've heard so many people talking about this. Like,
oh, really?
Which means.